Would you know if a new OCD theme was starting to pop up? We're going to talk all about it. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a therapist and I make videos for people with anxiety or OCD. And today I want to talk to you about a superpower that we should all have if we have OCD. And that is, how do you spot new OCD themes? Because OCD does like to morph into different issues. It's a little bit like whac-a-mole. You'll have one intrusive thought or feeling or one theme, and then sometimes, often, new themes pop up, but they might look very, very different. And will you be able to notice them, to recognize OCD's disguise, and to confront these and deal with them with your skills? Because if you don't, they're growing as you're dealing with this thing, or you're thinking, whoa, I'm doing so well. And you got new weeds popping up that look really different that you're not noticing. I don't want that to happen to you. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how to play I Spy OCD and figure it out even when it's wearing a disguise. But before I get started, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified, because I make new videos every Thursday. Okay, so how do you know when it's OCD popping up? Well, OCD will come in many different disguises, but it has the same structure. It has the same framework no matter what it is. And let's talk about what that is. You will have an intrusive thought or feeling like disgust or being grossed out or doesn't feel just right, or image. This image keeps going into my head and I can't get it out of my head and it's causing distress, right? So it doesn't always have to be an intrusive thought. So an intrusive thought, feeling, or image or song stuck in your head causing distress. And that's key too. It's causing distress, because sometimes I get a song stuck in my head and I don't mind it. I start humming along and I bother everybody in my family because it's like, will she ever stop singing that song? But it's not bothering me. Or I might have an image that's stuck in my head, but it doesn't upset me. So it has to be upsetting as well, right? For it to be something that we're going to address. So an intrusive thought, feeling, image, song stuck in your head, causing upset, causing stress, and you have to do or avoid something to get brief relief. You might not want to look at something, be near something, say something, do something, avoidance, 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 or you might have to do something, compulsions. Avoidance is a compulsion too, but we think of doing and acting as a compulsion, but avoidance is a compulsion as well. So what things are you doing or avoiding to get that brief relief from this intrusive thought or feeling or image? That's the framework. The more you do or avoid, the bigger it grows, right? A plus B equals OCD. The framework does not change regardless of what theme pops up. Sometimes we get stuck and snagged on themes because we really know what moral OCD is, or we really know what contamination OCD is, and we start to get tunnel vision and we only know that particular theme. And so when OCD starts to make you feel like maybe you're a bad person, you don't think that's OCD. Or maybe OCD says, oh, you just touched your left hand, you need to touch your right. You think that's just a weird habit. So you want to be able to know all the many different ways that OCD can show up. And the first way of doing that is just knowing the framework of OCD. I have an intrusive thought, feeling, or image, and I'm doing or avoiding something to get the relief from that. If you're doing something or avoiding something or mentally debating in your head on a vicious loop, that's a big red flag. It's a warning that says, I'm doing this action or I'm avoiding this thing, and maybe that's OCD. Now, sometimes you might avoid something because you just don't feel like doing something, and that is different. But when you're noticing a pattern of I'm always avoiding, the bathroom, or I'm always avoiding, leaning on my left side because I have to balance it out on my right, or I'm always avoiding, even being near people who I think are bad people, who might use bad words. I'm just giving you random examples. But when you start to notice those things, or you say, you know what, I'm mentally debating in my head all the time whether I'm a good person or not. I didn't know that was OCD. Right? Or I notice that whenever someone says this particular thing, I have to say this particular thing in my head. So know all the different ways that the compulsions will show up. Because when it comes to OCD, what we're working on is not having the initial intrusive thought, feeling, image, song, whatever, pop up in your head. You don't get to control that. But what we are working on and what we are wanting to focus on is your response to those things. Am I avoiding stuff? Am I doing stuff? Am I lying to myself and it's saying it's my routine? It's a habit, it's a quirk, it's a tic, right? When you have OCD, you have to kind of pay more attention than the average person to your actions, to your mental debating, so that you can be aware earlier that this might be a new OCD weed. It does help to understand OCD. It does help to watch YouTube videos that aren't about your theme so that you can fully understand all the many different disguises that OCD likes to wear. You won't ever know all the disguises because there's an endless amount of disguises OCD can pick from, but there are some pretty common disguises. And so go through my YouTube channel and watch different OCD themes that you've never heard of before. I have one, I feel like, on practically every common OCD theme that's out there. Because when you know, oh, OCD can show up this way, or what is sensory motor OCD, or what is symmetry OCD, what's moral OCD, what's contamination OCD, what's emotional contamination OCD, that helps. It helps to know those things so that when you might see something that says, oh my gosh, I think I'm doing that. It's a small little tiny weed that you can pull out so it doesn't ruin your beautiful garden. It doesn't ruin all the progress that you've made. So the first thing I want you to do is just pay attention to your actions, what you are avoiding or what you're doing that you might think are habit. And to test out whether it's OCD or not, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is change the behavior or the action or the avoidance. Don't worry about the intrusive thought, feeling, or image because you don't get control over that. But look at your behavior. Maybe you have to turn the water on before you start brushing your teeth. And you feel like that's a routine. But you're like, but I don't know. So test it out. From now on, maybe next week, I'm gonna, take my toothbrush out and then turn the water on. And then I'm gonna shake it up again. I'm gonna turn the water on first and then I'm gonna get my toothbrush. Just keep rocking the boat with your routines and your habits. And if it causes you distress and you think, oh my gosh, I have to turn the water on first. I'm just using this as an example. Then that's another bigger red flag. Why do I have to do that first? We all have habits and routines that we like, but when we have to do it or it causes distress, that's another big indicator that you might be dealing with OCD in disguise. So shake up your routines or your habits. If you have a tic or a quirk, I don't like the use of that language because they're not, people use that language, a tic or a quirk, in the realm of, I have this odd behavior that I just feel like I have to do. First of all, that's not what a tic is. And secondly, a lot of times that's like a code word for a compulsion. So shake it up, do something different. So that's the number one key, is to shake it up and do something different. Now, if you're avoiding, and you notice a habit of avoiding, I always avoid sitting in that seat. And I don't know why, actually. Sometimes OCD won't fill in the gap for you. I just feel like I can't sit there. Well, then sit there. How uncomfortable does it make you? And if it makes you really uncomfortable and you can't figure out why, then all you have to do is, once in a while sit there. And so you are being proactive. You are playing offense with OCD and you're, making it uncomfortable for no particular reason. That keeps OCD down. The other thing that you want to pay attention to, besides the avoiding or the doing, are the mental compulsions. And those are really sneaky. And so if I have to say a certain thing in my head, or I have to pray after I have this particular thought, or I have to count with these numbers, or I have to undo a thought by doing this, whatever it might be, or the most common one is I have to debate with myself. Oh my gosh, I just did that. Does that mean I'm a bad person? Or, oh my gosh, I just said that. Does that mean I'm this type of person? Watch your mental debating. If it goes into a vicious loop over and over and over again, then that's a red flag for OCD. And so the best way to handle mental compulsions, I do have an entire YouTube video on that, and you can check it out right here. But the best way a lot of times is to not pull, right? To not argue with it. Agree with it, sarcastically agree with it. Yeah, I might be a bad person, OCD, right? When you don't pull at it and you accept it, you either let it be and you let it float away, or you agree with it sarcastically, whatever your comfortable approach is, that again squashes OCD and keeps it tiny. So pay attention to those little weeds growing in your beautiful garden. And don't let OCD catch you off guard, because a lot of times people are working on one thing and they only want to know about one thing and they're only focusing on this particular theme. and they miss all the other things that are growing right next to them because it looks really different. So I hope you found this helpful. I am coming out with a crushing OCD course for kids and teens, and I'm super excited about it because it will give you much more in-depth support. So stay tuned for that. It is coming out September 29th of 2022. You can get on the wait list, so you are the first to be notified, and the wait list will get a special discount for the first 3 days. So you definitely want to be on that list if you are interested. I will leave a link below in the comments, and so you can check it out. And I hope to see you guys over there as well. Don't forget to find the sparkle in everything you do, and I'll talk to you again next Thursday. Take care.